Welcome back. As per the 11th five-year plan, more than $500 billion worth of investment is planned to flow into India's infrastructure by 2012. Construction projects account for a substantial portion of the proposed investments, making the sector one of the biggest beneficiaries of the infrastructure boom in India. Private sector participation is integral to these plans. PPPs have been identified as the most suitable mode for the implementation of projects and indeed are rapidly becoming the funding norm.
Funding India's wide-range $500 billion program of infrastructure expansion over a 5-year period is likely to be beyond the means of total government funding. So policies have been designed to facilitate private investment to the maximum level possible. Several framework and plans are already in place, however, that may facilitate reaching these goals.
The government is today acting as a facilitator. It's slowly moving out of many of the areas. So now, for example, if you take the good part of the Golden Quadrilateral Highway program, I think most of them are on a PPP basis. And more, I think government should move out and act as a facilitator.
Over the past decade, there has been an increasing trend at the central as well as state government level to use PPPs for meeting critical infrastructure gaps. The results have been quite encouraging. Establishing a PPP is now considered to be the default option for major infrastructure projects in sectors such as roads, railways, airports, ports and other transport segments.
There is a lot of investments coming from the private sector. Now, public-private partnership and what we call build, operate, transfer projects, BOT projects, they have become a reality in India. What it means to the industry? It means the construction companies which were normally a contracting firm, which were basically working on as an EPC contractor or a cash contractor, they are now, they have become now entrepreneurs.
The main hurdle that the construction company faces is investment. A rapid growth in investment in Indian infrastructure have been possibly large due to the commercial bank funding. But this is resulting in growing concentration of risk in terms of sector exposure and asset liability maturity mismatch.
Government, because of its resources constraint, almost 45 to 50% of the investment will have to come from private sector. That is where I feel industry is going to get little or rather major problem unless we are able to find out resources. Things otherwise going to be difficult because infrastructure projection, I require finance at a low rate of interest for a longer period and banks are financing for a shorter period and that too for working capital.
Projected investment required for infrastructure development during the 12th plan period is 40.99 trillion. Half of this is expected to come from the private sector. Some innovation ideas and new model of financing is needed to meet the financial requirement of the upcoming infra projects.
Third major problem which this industry is facing is support from the banking. Right now, it is not a very systematized support from the banks. Sometimes they are too liberal, sometimes under the guidance of RBI, they are taking hasty decisions and suddenly it becomes non-availability of fund to the industry. So these 2-3 things you can say are the major problem which infrastructure industry facing in this country.
Although India has a well-developed legal system, the current legal and regulatory environment sometimes act as an obstacle to the necessary injections of private capital into India's infrastructure. Tariff determination and setting of performance standard vary somewhat by sector.
All progressive sector, if you take telecom, there is a TRI. If you take food sector, there is FDA. If you take power, there is some regular, because each sector which are progressing, there is a regulatory authority which is monitoring. The moment regulatory authority comes, there is a transparency. So I think it's a high time we should talk about bringing one is transparency and regulatory authority has to be brought into this sector.
Project governance hold the key for many issues that rises in the construction field. The dispute resolution mechanism has also contributed for the further delay affecting the economics of the project. The law providing for dispute resolution alone cannot ease the situation, and the focus should be directed to structuring of the contract documents and efficient administration of the contract.
The present contract conditions are not fair. So we need a fair and equitable contract conditions to exist, in which there should be clear provisions for settling the dispute between the awarder and the contractor. So something should come. Nowadays, it takes years together to settle the disputes. So dispute resolution system is one of the major thing we have to address.
The other major problem the construction industry is facing is the manpower shortage. Skilled manpower is fast emerging as a serious obstacle to the rapid infrastructure development in the country. If not tackled in time, it could derail the ambitious development plan. While the government has taken several policy initiatives in recent years to ease bottleneck in some of the areas, not much has been done to improve availability of human resource in the infrastructure sector.
Number one challenge will be whether we have the manpower required to deliver this with us. Do we have enough consultant? Do we have enough contractor? Do we have enough machinery provider? Do we have enough operators to operate these machines, as well as skilled operators, skilled masons who will really deliver this particular requirement of Indian infrastructure?
Manpower shortage has been critical, with almost 50% shortage of talent in the sector. And the shortage is highest when it hurts the most, the middle management level. Moreover, shortages are growing each passing day, with not many institute training professionals according to the specific skill set required for the sector, and the situation is getting critical lower down the hierarchy as well.
A lot of mechanization in the industry is, bringing a challenge for upgradation of skills for our workers at all levels. I would say from unskilled to skilled to semi-skilled, and we require a lot of manpower which is skilled, which can now work on those equipments, machineries which are required for such projects. And to upgrade their skills, we don't have much infrastructure. That is a challenge. The companies, they have to play a role, the industry has to play a role, the government has to play a role.
Training programs could help the unskilled workers in moving up the value chain by learning specific skills and taking up specialities.
The most important thing is that we must train our people, train the grassroots worker, and let him know and motivate him to come up with the thought that he must deliver a good work on ground. If the building, a masonry will be as good as the mason who's made it.
Going forward from here, with more projects being commissioned, the situation would only get more acute. With the advancement in technology, newer machines too may have come into this sector. Thus, skilled and semi-skilled professionals who have an exposure to these heavy tools too are rarity.
After liberalization, we have seen modern technology coming into India, and the speed and the quality of the construction in infrastructure, the construction technology and the companies who are supplying the equipments for the construction, they have to play a vital role in promoting the safety and the health and requirements for the workforce. And once that happens, we will start getting skilled employment, skilled people working for the construction projects.
The shortage of skilled manpower is threatening to slow the construction of projects that are key to the nation's economic growth. Estimates suggest that if the industry has to grow at the healthy rate it has achieved in the past, it requires adding about 15% of the workforce every year to the existing 35 million people already engaged in the industry. With this, we come to an end of this edition of Power News. Keep sending us your suggestions and views at powernews@znetwork.com or call us on 011-405-60701. Do join us next week for more news and updates. Till then, goodbye and take care.